This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is This Rudy Giuliani Show. America's Mayor Live comes up in an hour on X. As you can see, this is Ash Wednesday, and for many Christians, for all Christians, this is the day that begins Lent, the season leading to Holy Week, the crucifixion of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, and the holiest and most solemn celebration in Christendom. And it is of really, I think, even more significance that it comes at a time when Catholics all over the world are praying for the life of the Pope, Pope Francis, who appears to go back and forth in terms of the reports that we get. Now, I was in Italy last week, and I was told in a very beautiful way, not trying to be trying to predict or but just to get people ready, that this particular bishop and his colleague did not think the Pope had a long time, that the illness was serious, that the Pope went into it in weak condition anyway, and that the Pope, and now I don't know if he went ahead and did this, was considering bringing all the cardinals to Rome, and their speculation, pure speculation, was that he was going to resign, because should he come out of this, he feels that he'll be in no condition to keep up the awesome duties of being the pontiff, the head of the Roman Catholic Church. So we'll stay on top of that for you, and if and God forbid when it happens, we'll take you through the significance of that, because of a conclave, and because, believe it or not, it teaches you a tremendous amount of the history, not just of the Catholic religion, the Christian religion, the Judeo-Christian faith, gives you a lot of history of Western civilization. And although those of us in America don't explain it this way, but I think many of us understand it this way. We are in a fight for the survival of Western civilization, largely because our enemies, although they're of all different kinds, I mean, they have all different versions. They center around, whether they know it or not, many do, many don't, Marxism. They center around the teachings of the satanic, insane, perverted Karl Marx. He was all those things. At times he believed he was Satan. I'm not making that up, but please read. That is something liberals don't do. They don't read. They have other people tell them what to say. Like that great video yesterday that had Trump saying something, and then you saw 50 Democrats saying the same thing that had been put out by the commissar of what you say in the Democratic Party. They were all just, saying the same thing. Prices are up, 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 prices are up. As if, Trump can come in after 4 years of deliberately trying to turn our economy into a socialist communist economy and ruining it. He can wave a magic wand and make it change, which is consistent with the left-wing view that money grows on trees. Right? I mean, you can print it. Just print more money. Oh, gee, this is worth half of what it was. Well, that's because of the Republicans. So last night's speech, I think, is where we should, without any doubt, begin. We will begin with the fact that, although I didn't reach him, I left a message for him because he called me and I was going to call him back. I said, Mr. President, it's the greatest speech of your life. And I've heard all of them. I participated in writing some of them. And I think he has given considerably better speeches than he ever has given credit for. In fact, everything he's done considerably better than he's given credit for. But this was a gem. And I love speeches. I've given a lot of my own. I basically used to write my own. I had people that helped me with speeches, but by and large, I wrote a lot of my own speeches. And after I was mayor, I had no one help me. I just wrote all of them. So if you hear me give a speech now, blame it on me. This combined two things, that even good political speeches, and this was a State of the Union speech, although not denominated that way because of the oddity of his first term. It was poetic and it was substantive. Now, sometimes State of the Union speeches are beautiful, beautiful, very general thoughts that are very uplifting. And then they're criticized because there's not enough substance. And then very often, the defense of the White House is, well, that has to come after. You can't really do that in 1 hour. And then sometimes a speech is criticized for being wonky and too much in the weeds and too much policy and no uplift, no cry to the American people based on our glorious history and the courage that flows in our blood, and not that. Instead, I reduced the border is down by 95%. Of course, you couldn't possibly say the border is down by 95% that way, because no president could have ever said the border is down by 95% in 3 weeks, except a great president. I don't know if you have any idea what he accomplished. So last year at this time, there were 190% more people crossing the border than right now. I think actually more than that if you look at El Paso and places like that. He's basically cut it down to a couple hundred a day. And then you want another thing that doesn't even tell you the story? So Biden would get like 3,000-4,000 a day on a low day and 11,000 on a big day. He's now down to 300 a day. Same border, same people, same laws. And what do the liars tell you? I'm telling you, they lie about everything. They say, well, we have to have legislation. We have to have legislation. Well, we have no legislation, and we've gone from, let's take the high, 11,000 one day, Biden, to 300 average. No new laws. Just telling the Border Patrol and everyone else, the sheriffs are cooperating, enforce the law. And how about also, because Biden, who gets away with everything, not only told them to enforce the law, but encouraged and permitted them to break the law by assisting fugitives, by letting murderers go free, by paying for their being transported to your part of the country so they can come and kill you or rape your daughter. Now, why he did this, I don't know. Was it because he was demented? Was it because he's a nihilist? Was it because he's a communist? Was it because I don't think Biden could be a communist? He's not smart enough. There's no possible way Joe Biden could have gotten through even the classic comic book, Das Kapital, much less the book. So I don't see it. Now, compare the Biden State of the Union speeches. You sat there wondering, what did they give him? And then toward the end of the speech, he'd start, blub, 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 blub. But that first half, it would always like, he'd have you'd see him 5 times before that, and he was tripping and falling and going in the wrong direction and talking to dead people. Then he'd get up there, and it had to be, they pumped him up with, and of course, it all fell apart like the emperor has no clothes. Contrast now with last night. He didn't miss a beat. It was extraordinarily substantive, and it was extraordinarily poetic, particularly at the end. It hit every point. And I believe there'll be only one reason that people might not put it down in history as one of the great speeches, because something else happened that overshadowed it. And that is that the Democrats demonstrated that when we say that party should end and they should begin a new party, we're not exaggerating. This is not an American political party any longer. They have no regard. First of all, They by not standing, not clapping, not participating, they directly told you, half or more of the American people, that they don't respect you. They don't respect your choice, because the only time they're going to be smiley and happy and be willing to participate is when their choice is selected. And then they can, be free to steal everything that's not locked down, which does happen in the Democrat Party. Not all, but to a good extent. So the first insult is to the American people, or maybe not. The first insult is to the American government, and not just the American government, because this is a living thing, our government. It was created by our framers, created by the Constitution. It meant that everyone respected each other's viewpoint. We built into it protections for the views of the minority, which have been trashed by Biden more than ever in American history. And they gave you a demonstration of what you didn't get to see in the innards of the White House. That was a living demonstration of a complete disregard for democracy, decorum, common sense, decency, acting like adults. It was all those things. It was unpatriotic. It was anti-American. It was positively insulting to more than half the American people. It was childish. It was amateurish. It was silly. And to say they were a bunch of clowns, the only thing wrong with that is they are much more seriously dangerous than clowns, because they're the ones who, through their actions like that, help to produce a large part of America that is not accountable and not disciplined and doesn't respect the rule of law, because they don't respect anything. If you wonder why people hit police officers more, go look at them. They're the ones who have been attacking police officers for 10 years. Remember when they all bowed down in the Capitol, that same group, for Black Lives Matter, on a phony pretext of racism? Black Lives Matter is an organization dedicated to the assassination of police officers. That's their prime mission. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon at every rally. That means kill police officers. Since they've been doing that, and particularly when they were very public, our assassinations and attacks on police officers increased dramatically. Black Lives Matter is, unlike the Democrat Party, which denies it, truly a communist organization. And unlike the Democrat Party, which is made up of cowardly liars, they're willing to say they were trained Marxists, which is why their first objective is to get rid of God and morality. Tell me what that has to do with protecting Black lives. The second thing is to get rid of parents. I mean, go on and on. They don't get to race until about their 12th or 13th position. And here's the reason why. Black Lives Matter was established by two lesbian activists who then saw the value of or the opportunism in making a fortune on killings. And then they got the George Floyd one, and they took it to the extent of billions of dollars in beautiful homes for themselves, the way Marxists do. So that's the group that was sitting down. What a bunch of clowns. You want to look at a picture there? There's a picture on the, I don't know. Well, we're not ready for it. That's okay. If we're not ready for it, we'll do it later. Do they have a picture of the State of the Union? President entering and.
Yeah, let's play some B-roll. Let's play
a little of that, because I want you to see. I mean, you probably saw, and excuse me, my voice is a little, but you probably saw this, or maybe you didn't. But you know, the House is divided. The House is divided in half, and then there's a little overlap. Like right now, there's a tiny overlap of Republicans who have to sit on the Democrat side because there's no place else to sit. I think they prefer to sit on each other's lap, but they have to sit on the Democratic side. So essentially, as we're looking at it on the screen, I think this is right, unless you get turned around. Believe it or not, the right side are the Democrats and the left side are to the right of the speaker are the minority, and to the left of the speaker is the majority. So that's Republican, that's Democrat, Republican. I've never seen this before. They didn't stand up for anything, not a damn thing. A little boy with cancer, where the president fulfilled his wish. I'm sure you all know Make-A-Wish Foundation. I participated in that when I was U.S. attorney, when I was mayor, when I was associate. I would let some people their wish was to meet me. That was nice. I was so proud, and I did everything I could to make it happy and complete. And if a Democrat in the city council was doing it, or a Speaker of the House, Peter Vallone, was doing it, he would bring the child over to me, the Republican mayor. And not that we had problems. He was really one of my best friends, but if he had been my biggest enemy in the city council, if he brought over a kid that was dying of cancer, of course I treat the kid like a king. So when this kid gets up, they're all sitting down. Now think of this child, right? This is going to be a memory in his mind forever. He stood up in Congress and he looked down. And he looked at the very strange, odd situation that one side is cheering and yelling and screaming, and the other side is sitting. What is it? What is it? A total disrespect. Nothing matters other than their partisan political position. Nothing matters. These people are devoid of conscience. They're devoid of conscience. They're devoid of feeling. Something happened to them, serious. Something seriously happened to them. They've given away being a human being for being a politician. Now, that happens. Everything is about you getting reelected. I mean, you sell your kid for a campaign contribution. Or how about the young girl, the young lady who was rendered partially paralyzed by being hit by a volleyball because there was a volleyball hit by some gigantic a male in female uniform with, twice the power of a female. And she is now not able to participate in sports. Now, they couldn't rise for that because they all voted the day before to let females be subjected to that. There was a bill on the floor of the Senate, which had passed the House, and the bill said that men are not allowed, biological men, and we admit of only two types, male and female. It just has a little history. It goes back to the first book of Genesis, chapter 17, or verse 17. I made the man and woman. I made them. He repeats it twice. God does. And to every reasonable, sensible, common sense scientist in the world, it's called XX chromosome, XY chromosome. Gee, I don't want to, overload your intellectual capacity, but so somehow, in a strange demonstration, that they are picking up a little bit of the satanic elements of Marxism, they voted that men can participate in female sports and destroy female sports, or most of them. You certainly destroy boxing. Is it a man and a woman boxing is like domestic violence, right? I mean, I used to spend time arresting all kinds of people for beating up women. Now we're gonna go watch it. We're gonna pay to watch a make-believe woman beat the hell out of a girl who can't possibly have a chance to defend herself, and maybe break her nose, destroy her jaw, or create brain damage. Not a single Democrat voted for that bill. 2 were actually cowardly enough to not vote at all. And just so the Democrats are making clear to you that their future are people who have no principle, who don't have the courage to stand up for anything, are going to be their future leaders. They picked Senator Shukup, what's her name? Senator Shukup?
Michigan?
Yeah, Senator Michigan. Oh, Slotkin. So, I mean, I don't know who she is. I'm not being disrespectful with her name. I just never knew Senator Shukubukum. And when she came on, I didn't know that she had been a CIA agent and everything else. She had a wonderful, beautiful, very expensive house dress on. It was fabulous. Oh, I'm sorry, Bernie. I'm going to have to call you back, sweetheart. So here, you take it and find out what he wants. Usually when he would call me when I was mayor, that was a shooting. But thank God he doesn't call me about shootings any longer. Whenever it was Bernie or Howard Safer or Bill Bratton, it was, hey, every once in a while I would get one. Crime just went down 10%. Oh, my God. Or every once in a while it was, we just got designated as the safest large city in America by the FBI. But usually it was some poor person got hurt or killed. Now I guess there's a picture you see now of the volleyball game where that guy who looks bigger than both teams together matched up. I think actually the way to play, if you're going to do that, he should play against all the women. So it should be all the women on one side and the one guy on the other side. Well, we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll go over some of the things that a few of the highlights. But I think all of you by now know most of the key highlights. But pretty much the implication of it. Where does it take us? What did it do? What does it show us about our future? So we'll be back very shortly. And thank you for tuning in. Now, here's what Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Tired of volatile stocks and tiny dividend yields? Here's something different. Imagine collecting steady monthly income from America's richest oil fields without owning a single oil stock. While everyone else stresses about the market, you could be earning passive royalty income month after month. This unique investment has nothing to do with drilling, exploration, or operations. You simply collect your share of the profits when oil companies pump oil. The Oxford Club's Mark Lichtenfeld has found what he calls the perfect income investment, a unique oil royalty opportunity that's still flying under Wall Street's radar. And you can get started with just $25. Head to RudyOilBoom.com now to discover more. That's RudyOilBoom.com. Stop worrying about the market and start collecting oil royalty checks instead.
That's not Mayor Giuliani. I apologize. You're stuck with me for just a couple of minutes. The mayor will be right back with you all. And so we want to just continue to talk about last night's incredible, I guess they're calling it an address to a joint session of Congress. Why don't we close the door over here so they can talk. And so what we watched was incredible, right? I mean, as the mayor, I think the mayor mentioned in his mind, it was the best speech in at least 35 years. So of course that takes us back to the Reagan era, and the mayor has not been shy about his love for Mr. Reagan, and of course that was his boss. So tough to compete there, but so this was a address to a joint session of Congress. I think that's what they call the first State of the Union for a new president and his term, right? I think the idea being it's hard to report on the past year of the State of the Union if you've only been in office for about a month. So that's kind of the reason they kind of have that that differentiation. But what an incredible speech, as the mayor said, right? It really was it was so poetic in many ways, but still just chock full of policy, right? And from a political standpoint, I don't think he could have done a better job. Let's talk about the Democrats. Let's talk about, I mean, how depraved, how unconscionable for these people, these 200 or so, right? We're talking Senate and members of the House, for them not to stand up for a 13-year-old boy who's, I believe, still facing cancer, 12-year-old, 13-year-old African-American little boy. His dream was to be a Secret Service agent, and so they gave him the badge last night. What an incredible moment. But how telling, right? I believe one Democrat stood. I want to be fair. One Democrat out of hundreds, right? What does that tell you, that they refused to stand for this boy? In that moment, it's not about President Trump, right? It's not about the politics of the day. In that moment, it's about giving this sick little boy his moment. Look at him. You see on the screen there, I believe his name is DJ. You should see the look on his face, right? When the president announced that he's going to be getting the badge, he's going to become the newest Secret Service agent, and you see his face. But for how unconscionable. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me. And the mayor, I think the mayor really put it straight when he said that what it really shows you is their cowardice, right? Deep down, I think we all know not every one of those members are that depraved, right? Where they don't get the emotion, it doesn't tug at their heart, looking up in the gallery and seeing this 12-year-old boy who's been sick most of his life, facing cancer, and the smile on his face, right? No, I mean, there's no way none of them, that they all were immune to the emotions there, but they didn't stand. So what does that tell you? They're cowards. They didn't stand because they were told not to stand. They were told not to stand under any circumstances for any part of President Trump's speech. And they followed they followed orders because they're so afraid. These individuals, and I guess we can really say all of them, right? When none of them stand, we can say all of them are afraid to stand on their own two legs when it comes to re-election, right? This is what this tells you. They are afraid of the central party apparatus. Sounds very communist, right? But they're afraid of the central party apparatus and the money that they receive from those folks to buck their marching orders. And for them not to stand for that. How about Laken Riley's mom and her sister? How devastating was that to see? And they can't stand for. What it really tells you is the deep disdain they have for the American people and the disrespect they have for the American people. President Trump was duly elected the president of the United States. And these members, for the way they treated the president, and really those everyday Americans who were being honored last night, is a damn shame. So what we're going to do now, we don't want the ratings to tank all the way. I'm being told the mayor is prepared to come back on. We're going to take an early break. Let's finish the president's remarks here. I'm not sure. That might be B-roll. Let's watch this moment here, and then let's go to a break so we can get the mayor back on. There's Laken Riley's mother and her sister. Just heartbreaking. And for these Democrats, for them not to stand for this moment is a disgrace. It's unconscionable And it really tells you how they feel about the American people. They really don't care about you. They're solely focused on power and what they need to do, what they think they need to do to get re-elected. So with that, let's take a quick break. And when you come back, you'll see the mayors smile once again.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Tired of volatile stocks and tiny dividend yields? Here's something different. Imagine collecting steady monthly income from America's richest oil fields without owning a single oil stock. While everyone else stresses about the market, you could be earning passive royalty income month after month. This unique investment has nothing to do with drilling, exploration, or operations. You simply collect your share of the profits when oil companies pump oil. The Oxford Club's Mark Lichtenfeld has found what he calls the perfect income investment, a unique oil royalty opportunity that's still flying under Wall Street's radar. And you can get started with just $25. Head to rudyoilboom.com now to discover more. That's rudyoilboom.com. Stop worrying about the market and start collecting oil royalty checks instead. You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Tired of volatile stocks and tiny dividend yields? Here's something different. Imagine collecting steady monthly income from America's richest oil fields without owning a single oil stock. While everyone else stresses about the market, you could be earning passive royalty income month after month. This unique investment has nothing to do with drilling, exploration, or operations. You simply collect your share of the profits when oil companies pump oil. The Oxford Club's Mark Lichtenfeld has found what he calls the perfect income investment, a unique oil royalty opportunity that's still flying under Wall Street's radar. And you can get started with just $25. Head to rudyoilboom.com now to discover more. That's rudyoilboom.com. Stop worrying about the market and start collecting oil royalty checks instead. In on a secret. It's not really a secret. I just had a conversation with the president. It wasn't about anything top secret. It wasn't anything government. It was more on a personal friend basis. but I'm not going to relate it the whole thing because it was a personal friend basis. But I'm going to tell you the general thrust of it was, and I really mean this. This is the best speech I've heard a president give that I can remember, and that includes my hero Ronald Reagan. I thought it was the best combination of poetry and substance. It's rare that you have both. Usually you have one or the other, or you have a terrible speech. I mean, if it's Jimmy Carter, it's he used to get him down to like 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Biden, the first time I think was 35. He once tried a 1 hour speech. Then he was at the beach for four or 5 days, and then he went to somewhere else for 4 or 5 days. I'm convinced they put him in a chamber and pumped him up. But let's cover some of the things that he said in the speech. He laid out first of all his achievements, and he did it without boasting. They were just very factual. He's reduced the border, as I said, from 11,000 to 390. You don't have to say anything else after that, except to say, and looking at the Democrats, and unlike what you told the American people, I did it without having to pass a law. Nicely. I also will tell you what I told the president. I was amazed at how he ignored their idiotic, childish, disrespectful conduct. I think I'd have probably lost my train of thought just going after, pointing at them. You know, what happened? You guys need knee operations? What's wrong? You can't stand up for a kid with cancer? What happened? Soros said he won't give any more money? Or did Schumer come around and intimidate you like he did on the bill to protect women against bully men being in basketball games and volleyball games, maybe even hockey? Who knows? And how about boxing in the Olympics? Remember the Italian boxer who dropped out because she was going to get punched around by a man? That's one of the most, in Western civilization and Western law and Western morals and whatever else we want to call it, one of the most despicable things is a man hitting a woman. I was brought up that way. My father almost said to me, I would help you and defend you on almost anything. He made it sound, even if I did a murder, but you hit a woman, I'll never talk to you again and I'll beat the hell out of you. And you know the way he put it? He said, you're not a man if you do that. So I don't understand these creeps. Okay, if you want to change your gender, stay out of women's sports, guy. And until you have the complete change, would you please stay out of a woman's bathroom? Because if I see you there, I'm going to go to jail. I know I am. If I see some creepy, perverted male creeping around a lady, I'm going to beat the crap out of you. Okay? I don't like perverts. Sorry. You don't have to put up with them, and we should be protected against them. And a man does have a role of protecting a woman. Sorry, Jane Fonda, you know. Maybe if you had some kind of husband, you would have become a traitor to the United States and supported the Viet Cong and the communists. Maybe he would have kept locked you in your room and kept you home. But men are now non-existent. We don't have men anymore. So when people like J.D. Vance or he was so cruel to tiny little Zelensky. It's lucky they didn't stand up. It would have really looked like bullying. First of all, it would have been hard. I don't know what camera could have gotten them both in the camera. Is there such a camera, Ted, that could get little Zelensky and big J.D. Vance in the same? It's like this. See, he's off the camera. See that? Yeah. You can do that, or you can do that, but this guy is off the camera. Now, they could have done what they wanted to do for Hillary Clinton at the debates, and I told them to go to hell. They wanted to put her on a stand so she could look as tall as Trump. And I said, absolutely, I'll agree to that. Just give me the same stand for Trump. At first, the jerk said, okay. And then the Hillary people said, we want another stand. I said, well, we want another stand. And by the time we're finished, we'll be up in the rafters at the Nassau Coliseum or Hofstra College or where the hell we were. And when I called Trump back to tell him that they were proposing it, he hadn't known that I had already knocked it down. And he said, well, you tell him if she gets one, I want one. I said, I already did it, boss. So what would you say, Ted, was the highlight of for one moment, let's put the Democrats aside, because I do think historically this will go down as the State of the Union speech in which one political party in America decided that they no longer were part of a democracy.
Right.
It'll be not quite. It's not quite the Civil War. It's a lot worse than their alleged insurrection.
Right.
And it was a terrible thing for the young people of America to see.
Right.
It was. Hopefully, I think most of the young people are more mature than that.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm thinking of the 12 or 13-year-old little boy who is now America's newest Secret Service agent. I'm thinking of him. What is he thinking when he looks out there as a young boy, and half the room sitting as he's getting, made a Secret Service agent, and then half the crowd's cheering, but the other half is sitting there.
Can they see that?
Is sitting there. Yeah, we can go over to that. Let's show that. The problem is the lighting. Oh, they're playing it right now. They're going to play the clip up on the screen.
Okay, good.
But it's what a moment. But for them to sit for that. But like you said, I think you were about to ask, what's a memorable moment?
Well, that's. I mean that
outside of the Democrat.
That's a memorable moment.
RFK. Oh God, look at that. She looked miserable. They look. How do you not smile or even cry in that moment?
People will never forget when Deb Dingell did that and turned her back on this young man who's such an inspiration to everyone.
Grouchy. But that's what I was thinking. What is that boy thinking?
His dad's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Look at that Texas
you
guy.
Think he's from what state do you think he's from?
That's yeah, right. He's not from Brooklyn, I'll tell you that. But later on, the young man played another role when the young man was accepted at West Point.
That's right.
He went over and gave him a high five.
I don't know if we have. We'll play that clip next hour.
So this kid,
that was something else.
This kid's a doer. I mean, he's got a little bit of his own. You don't have to tell him what to do. He knows what to do.
Right. He made the memorable moment without any. It wasn't scripted.
So this idea, by the way, of honoring people at the State of the Union speech, and so the Democrats, if this were the first time, they would say, oh, President Trump was exploiting these people. Every president has done this since Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan gave an inaugural speech. It was scheduled for a couple of days after a plane crash at then National Airport. And at that occasion, and it's an airplane that I missed by one airplane. I was in the one earlier going to Florida, and my staff was very worried that I was gone. And there are a lot of people now that are very disappointed that I wasn't on that plane. All of them Democrats, and the plane went down just on takeoff from National or Reagan Airport, and it literally fell, wasn't quite through the two bridges, it was right beyond the first bridge, or the closest bridge to the airport. It came right down, and it landed right in the Potomac. And a government worker named Lenny Slotnick, who I think you're seeing on the screen here on the B-roll, jumped in and went and saved a number of people. He wasn't one of the official divers. They came a little later, and if he hadn't done it, some of these people would have died. The president was, of course, overwhelmed by it, and decided he would have him at the State of the Union speech and congratulate him as a way of showing the American people the inherent courage that we have. Because we were, like now, we were very down. We had gone through Carter malaise. We had 2.5 years of hostages. We had Iran tormenting us. We had books written that China and Japan and Russia were all going to pass us, that America's greatest days were over. Carter seemed to agree with it. We had all kinds of scandals. We had not inflation, stagflation. So Biden got it up to 9%. Carter got it up to 18. And by the way, just like Trump now is being accused of the prices haven't gone down, it took Reagan 9-10 months to do that, maybe even longer. Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have a guest because we want to talk a little bit about also what today is, because I really do think one of the ways to save this country is to bring God back. We'll be back very shortly. Tired of volatile stocks and tiny dividend yields? Here's something different. Imagine collecting steady monthly income from America's richest oil fields without owning a single oil stock. While everyone else stresses about the market, you could be earning passive royalty income month after month. This unique investment has nothing to do with drilling, exploration, or operations. You simply collect your share of the profits when oil companies pump oil. The Oxford Club's Mark Lichtenfeld has found what he calls the perfect income investment, a unique oil royalty opportunity that's still flying under Wall Street's radar. And you can get started with just $25. Head to rudyoilboom.com now to discover more. That's rudyoilboom.com. Stop worrying about the market and start collecting oil royalty checks instead. You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee. Well, we're back with the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV and X, and I have, and you, of course, all of you know Paula Palladino, who is been a commentator on the show a number of times, always very, very sharp, very much informed, but also she's a world traveler.
I am.
And quite a good writer.
Yeah, I love to write.
And Ted and I and Paulina's mom went to church before at St. Edward's Church in Palm Beach, and went to Mass and got ashes. So I wanted to ask her, first thing that I wanted to tell people, I hope we have the picture of it, it was crowded.
It was so crowded. First of all, happy Ash Wednesday. It was a nice service. There was everybody there, as you can see in the video. All the pews were filled. It was really positive and uplifting. What I took away from the service was when we went to get the ash on our face, and the priest looked me right in the face. She said, quote unquote, "You are ash, you will be ash." And I think that's something that Democrats should hear yesterday.
It wakes you up, right? It's
Yeah,
confirmation.
it's a good
Worse
reality.
than confirmation.
Exactly. It's a good reality check, and it pours some morality into you, and I think that's really what Democrats could be using.
Yeah, you see, I really believe that this all began when we started to attack God and forgot that the First Amendment has two parts to it. One is no establishment of religion, but the other is no interference by the government in the free exercise of religion. And the founding fathers never thought that we would be a secular country. I mean, they thought we would be a country of many religions. They didn't have an understanding or even respect for an atheist. So that was out of the question. Now, obviously, we're not going to have atheists out of the question. They have a right to be that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of
be
our
atheist,
government is
yeah.
based on a belief in God. Like the first 10 amendments, it was the belief of even the ones who were considered less religious, but more scientific type religious. It was their belief that the natural rights came from God. Jefferson believed that those rights came from the Creator, and that he didn't give people the right of free speech. The Creator did.
Yeah.
And therefore, government can't interfere with it. He sort of, because they didn't want them interfered with, also, you might say, they put them beyond human beings. The minute you remove God, you remove that.
Yeah.
So I often like to say, even if you're an atheist, you'll have a better country if most people believe in God.
I agree. Yeah, you have to stand for something, otherwise you're standing for nothing.
Right. And so tell us about your trip.
Oh, the trip was amazing.
What was the biggest part?
The biggest part was, I'd say, being in Germany for Christmas was really interesting. I went to 7 different cities.
So were you anywhere near where they had that
Yeah.
attack on the market?
Yeah, so I went
the
to
Islamic crazy man.
yeah, I was like an hour or so north of there. I was in Hamburg, and I think that was a bit more south. And
You communicated with us when that
Yeah.
happened, because we
yeah, you guys sent me
Yeah,
the link.
yeah.
When you guys sent me the link, I was in Copenhagen when that happened, actually. And it was,
Thinking of you.
yeah, and it was really good you sent it, because the next day I had to take the train from Copenhagen to Germany. So, we were a little bit hesitant. I was traveling with my friends. So her and I were on guard. We were smart. You grow up in New York, you kind of have to be aware always of your surroundings. So I'd say going to all those different cities in Europe, I went to London, Copenhagen, Hamburg, where else?
I just think it's
Dublin,
great. That's the way to do it.
Scotland. I was in Scotland for New Year's. Milan. But there was good
That's
variation.
the way to do it.
Yeah, it was spread out. I'd say the happiest people were in Dublin. I don't know if alcohol has something to do with that, but but I saw the original St. Patrick's Church. That was really cool.
Did you go to they have
A
pubs?
pub crawl. Pub
Yeah,
crawls.
yeah. Both in England and Ireland, they have pubs. In Scotland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're big.
Scotland
And they're a
is
big. Well, they used to be. I don't know how things have all changed. They used to be a big part of the community. People would come there and get together and get to
Yeah.
know each other.
Yeah, being in the mass today, it reminded me. So when I was in Germany on Christmas, we went to midnight mass. It was all in German, but it felt the same. Like it was very homey,
Mhm.
very traditional. It was out of a storybook. Everything, all the Christmas markets. It's a very surreal experience, especially around that time.
Well,
of
the
year.
amazing thing about Christianity is it's in every continent and every place. It's the most diffuse religion in the world.
Yeah,
The Muslim religion obviously is in certain places, Buddhist, but it's the most diffuse religion.
yeah.
Well, we're going to take our leave of you now, and we're going to move over to X, and we're going to continue our discussion of not only the speech, but also what's going on in Ukraine. I have I think some very current information on that. And also, let's not forget, we still have a war in Israel. I mean, for a while, the emphasis was all on the war in Israel, and now it's on Ukraine, but people are being killed everywhere. And I guess on Ash Wednesday, as we come into Lent, maybe we should be more focused on how do we stop the killing. And I am so proud of our president because he is laser focused on how to stop this useless killing. And in Ukraine, I'm sorry, you can't excuse the fact that some of that killing is being done because the crookedest nation on earth, second, third, fourth, makes a lot of money during a war. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Go over to X. We'll be continuing there if you're not on it already. And God bless America.
God bless.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.